There was a massive dev call this weekend with Marvel Strike Force General Manager Ryan Jacobson. He discussed the latest on Battleworld, tokens, and the new player experience, stability issues, and a lot more. And today, this guy, MobileGamer, he is in the studio, and you are not going to want to miss what you can expect coming to Marvel Strike Force. So if you're ready for all of that and more, MobileGamer, let them know what to do.
Let's go smash it!
And welcome back to the ValleyFlyin channel. I am ValleyFlyin. This is MobileGamer with his massive claws out. And in this video, we're going to talk about the call that we had right with Ryan Jacobson, talking about some improved visuals that are coming up and the major changes to the design philosophy. But before we get to that, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button for more great Marvel Strike Force content, at least 5 Marvel Strike Force videos per week on this channel. One of the biggest things that I think he talked about was Battleworld. It is coming along. It's been delayed about 4 months, but I think one of the things that led to was one of their major changes in design philosophy that Ryan led to. What is the major change in design philosophy that he had about their hard deadlines and things like that? What has changed?
Okay, so the way that he described it is that in the past with Marvel Strike Force, it was deadline, push the stuff out untested, maybe even broken, and I feel like he wants to polish the systems and the game mode instead of just pushing it out and sticking to a deadline. So
when it's ready.
Yeah. So what that meant is that there was some sort of internal deadline for Battleworld, and we don't know what that was, but it's essentially been delayed 4 months.
Is what he mentioned.
Yeah. So I mean, it depends on how you look at it. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Sounds like it's a better thing.
I think in long term, that is a better thing. For the people that like myself that want to play right now, obviously we got to wait a little bit, and that's not the best thing. But long term, not having a broken game mode that they're gonna have to go back and fix multiple times, I think that is. And he mentioned a couple things that they did push out early. The open all or button, which has recently been disabled and caused a bunch of issues. That was pushed out too early. So now they're going back and looking at different things behind the scenes to make it so they can bring it back and see what happens to not overload the servers. Because one of the things that, and when everybody got their orbs from the compensation, was when everybody tried to use the open orb button at the same time, their servers couldn't handle that. So they don't want that situation. Also, is that diamonds were pushed out a little too early as well. One of the big things that's coming before Battleworld, though, that we could expect is a major graphic change. They called it a URP graphic. He said it's overall to make the game look a little better, a little more shiny. It's also going to bring some environments. What environments did he mention that you're excited to potentially have come to Marvel Strike Force?
Yeah, so this is kind of wild, right? We've had one new environment in 6 years.
That was because of a new game mode, a brand new game mode.
Yeah, for Cosmic Crucible. So, and some of them I think are pretty funny. The existing ones, like the one with the butterflies, and then there's the deer. And it's like, what is this even Marvel?
I need Khazar in that.
I know, right? The Savage Land or something. We got the snake. So he mentioned that this new system would allow for new environments, and he mentioned two, and specifically was Danger Room. And then also, what was the other one?
The Kyle Tower. Kill him.
So yeah, that'd be cool, right? Any kind of new systems that change it up and refresh the game, and then just updated graphics, right?
Yeah, and I think what this allows is them to go back in the back end and design more of these things, like more environments and more things that they can implement in the game. He also mentioned some fixes to Arena that's coming. One thing that he did not like was the slingshotting, and that's a little different than they've responded to in the past. Oh, look, those are some cool those look Australian, dude.
I like this guy.
Those look Australian-made glasses.
You have so much stuff in here. This whole room is just full of Hulk on the wall and Shield and Spider. There's nothing but Marvel.
I should show off this room a little more. I showed it off a little bit.
You have Marvel everywhere in here.
All right, but slingshotting. That was something they mentioned before. I didn't think they were going to fix it. I thought that was just bad design that they never would go back and fix. He doesn't like that, and he wants to prevent mirror matches. He mentioned in this discussion of Arena moments to prevent mirror matches. What are your take on moments? What do you think that's going to bring to the game?
Well, we don't know much about moments at all.
What are you predicting that's going to be?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so there was moments inside of WWE Champions, which is a Scopely game also, and it looked like it was an upgrade.
Did they actually call it moments?
They called it moments.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
it's called moments, and it was an upgradable team bonus.
Okay.
So like, and they had like a special event that happened in wrestling, and I'm sorry I couldn't tell you what that is, but the way I looked at it, to me, if they tried to bring that to Marvel Strike Force, it would be like an X-Men team bonus.
Okay.
And so like the X-Men would get certain modifiers or different mechanics that could actually change the way it works, similar to like a room bonus, and then it could be upgraded. I don't know. But the way that he described moments as some sort of system that would make the arena more unique and less mirror matching.
Less mirror matches is what I remember. Now I don't know if this is what I got from one of the previous meetings, either in the Envoy Summit or one of our dev calls, but for some reason I'm picturing moments to be kind of like an extension of ISO 8. I'm not sure if that's what it's gonna be. I'm not sure if they said that or that's my interpretation, but for some reason I have like an extension, the next version of ISO 8 in my head with moments. Other thing that they talked about was a new player experience, having a solution to unwind Apocalypse. Like they've unwound a few of their legendary events, and the legendary events are kind of what Apocalypse has come to be like, where you have to unlock a certain amount of characters to get this big character. It's not the best for new players. What are some solutions that you think they could do for Apocalypse that was mentioned on the call?
Okay, so they didn't really talk about this in the call, but if we think about Dark Dimension 3, 4, 5, you know, like let's just specifically isolate City. So the best characters to take into Dark Dimension has changed because new characters come out. And this allows people going into Dark Dimension 3, 4, 5 to use characters like Vulture and Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes, right? Where in Dark Apocalypse, Dark Dimension 5.5, right? I mean, it was essentially Dark Dimension 5.5.
It was sort of like their version of Dark Dimension for that year, but it functioned kind of like a legendary event, so it was kind of weird.
Yeah, it felt bad upgrading Scarlet Witch,
Phantom X,
and all of those scourges required characters that you may not want to upgrade today. So the system is just going to get worse and worse. And for me, if they could make it, instead of being Darkhold, make it Mystic characters, instead of it being Gamma, make it Bio characters, whatever. I mean, instead of Unlimited, making it mutant characters. And the same thing with those scourges. It needs to be relaxed because it's going to be a bad experience for new players. Now, what this means to me is I'm going to start a new account.
It's going to be better for the new account.
Yeah, I want to start a new account because they've changed the way that accounts are boosted. There was this strange boosting thing going on the last couple of months where they're giving it to certain players or not. I believe that's ended.
I think that Friday blog post that we had just a couple of days ago means that is done and you're safe to start a new account or to tell your friends to start a new account if you want to start playing with your friends. So I think the A/B testing is done. All that. One thing they talked about is reducing screen time. What he said, the data of the average player is in line with the data of other games that's like that. But what they want to do is improve low quality screen time, like Blitz and things like that. They want it to feel like a fun experience, not a chore. And one of the things that they talked about that help some of this time to reduce screen time, to improve the new player experience, is the thing called tokens. They said this thing is ready to go. They said it's kind of like the time heist that we have in the game where you're gonna get just a bunch of stuff. And I think this is mainly to reduce the resources that we need. Gold, training mats, maybe some ISO 8 crystals to get certain characters up to a certain level. What did you think tokens were when you thought of that? I thought of it like time heist, getting a character up to a certain level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a system that they could use. I mean, as the game goes on, and you know, right now we have yellow stars, red stars, diamond stars. Who knows what's going to happen after that purple? And then we've got green ISO. You know, we think about all the things in the game that we don't necessarily care about anymore, whether it's T3 purple ability materials or to a lesser extent orange gear. If this is a way of upgrading a character through all of those quickly, like, you know, you get a token for the next character that comes out, which is Penny Parker, let's say, I don't know. And this token takes Penny Parker to gear tier 14, level 75, you know, the T3 purple ability materials, and then it's just done. Or very quickly. I don't know how much it's going to matter to endgame players at all. Because I don't think they're going to give away 100.
Anything that helps the new player experience will indirectly help endgame players, right?
Maybe,
so indirectly, that's going to help us. But what I was thinking, maybe this is not just going to do new players. I think that's what they want to concentrate on in the beginning, focusing on new players, so they don't have to spend all this gold to get a character up to like level 85 or whatever, you know. That's what I think they want to do in the beginning, focus on just reducing that. But I think down the road, they can open this up and give this to players as like a reward. Say, hey, this will get one character up to level 100. You don't need the gold, you need all the stuff. And they could use that as rewards for events, stuff like that. Maybe down the road, they could be looking at that. But I think this is a good thing. Maybe it's not bad if it is now, but I think down the road, it's
what I would like is to have a golden training match, some relief from the golden training match crunch, but I'm not expecting anything. A lot of this stuff they said sounded really good. Even
just tokens, getting a character so we don't have the golden training resource, that'll help us up any level.
But a lot of the things that he was talking about implementing or things that frustrated him, which were similar things that frustrated us, I mean, I just don't know if it's going to be implemented. I mean, I get the feeling that maybe a lot of this stuff sounded good in theory, but we'll have to see what actually happens.
Yeah, I like a lot of his answers. You mentioned a little bit your video where he's coming from a different place, not just at an end game level, not just from the devs, but he's actually, a lot of this stuff and the decisions he's making is coming from him as a player. He started a new account when he joined the company, and now he's probably at a mid-game level. So yeah, a lot of decisions are coming from a place of someone that plays the game. Now, another interesting thing that was mentioned was a timeline for things coming up. We have a timeline for characters now. Since the introduction of diamonds, we kind of know when characters are going to be coming. One thing that was mentioned, we want a timeline for Crimson Gear. When is that going to be opened up? Awaken abilities. We've had the awaken abilities for Green Goblin sold to us at his release. Now, not really. We don't know when there's going to be available. Are they going to be available in the raid store? So one thing you talked about is maybe making an internal playbook or internal Bible that they're going to use on their end for this. What are they going to release for the community about this? Are they going to give more information to the community about this? But
yeah, I don't know. Like, he said that he was unhappy with the uncertainty of like Green Goblin ability materials. He also suggested that his personal experience playing the game and Black Knight being a dark promotion credit character, we don't know. We do. He mentioned he personally was frustrated with what is that supposed to look like for Black Knight, and he didn't know, right? Yeah. And so I don't know if we're gonna get direct information on that or not. But it was interesting to hear his take on him being personally unhappy with the release method of Black Knight, which is interesting, right? I was like, okay.
Even if we don't get that publicly, I'm glad that they're going to have this internal playbook, this internal Bible that they're going to follow, and hopefully it makes things a little more predictable. And even if they don't make that public, if they keep this cadence long enough, we could see a pattern in that, and we can kind of figure that out, hopefully, down the road. One thing that was interesting, the Crucible problem that we've been talking about for a while, the trophies with that, whereas there's a amount of available trophies, it's shrinking each time we get a new season, because as new players are coming in, they're not bringing anything in, and as we get our points reduced every time a new season begins, those points are just going away and not being introduced back from the new players. I thought the devs were aware of this, were working a fix. He was not aware of this before this call. The good thing is he is aware of it now. He's going to start to push for some kind of solution to fix this Crucible. What did you think of him not knowing this? Was that a disappointment that they weren't even aware of this at the time of the call? Or that he, and maybe some people, but he personally wasn't aware of it?
I feel like he wasn't aware that this was a thing, but I don't think it's been communicated with him like a solution or the actual problem. There hasn't been a lot of information on this. There was a Reddit post talking about how, the number of players that are in the top tier just keeps getting smaller and smaller, and more people are in the middle tiers, and how a lot of it has to do with the system and the season resets. And the post was overly complicated, but I think that there's been a miss there.
Yeah, I think now the good thing there, he's aware of the problem, so I think he's going to push for a solution. The bugs, there's been a lot of bugs in the past couple of weeks or so, especially since the introduction of the 6th anniversary. what he wants to do is build a foundation for the game. At the same time, they got to run the game. They got to put out content, so keep playing. But so it's kind of like living in a house as you're trying to stabilize the foundation of the house that's kind of falling apart. So that's where a lot of the challenges are coming from, and why we're having a lot of these issues. There is an engineering team just dedicated to the performance, and we didn't have that in the past. Other things that's changed in their process is things, whenever they had an issue, it would get pushed into a pipeline and it would just be going down the path. What he mentioned now is when they get an issue, the teams, they need to find time in order to fix it. They're not just going to be in this queue of things that are like, oh, you need to fix this whenever you get around to it. No, they need to fix it, and they want to put more guardrails in. What do you think of their plans to improve stability? Do you think this can be successful or not successful with what he said?
Show me, do it. I'm serious. This was the whole part of the conversation where he said a lot of things that sounded really nice.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's cool, but like almost like, yeah, well, let's do it. Like, let's show us. He said he imagined a world where the game where, like 6 months from now, where there hasn't been a lot of bugs in a while, and we haven't had to issue out compensation.
There's no compensation.
And I was like, well, let's do it. Like, let's do it. Yeah. Do it. Let's do it. Let's see. I don't know. I'm skeptical of that part.
I think their desires, their wants, all that stuff is clear. Hopefully their implementation of all this stuff goes good. One thing I like, more fan voting coming. I think that's a great change that has brought about since he came. And what did they say about the Iron Patriot event, that some people were not able to unlock Iron Patriot even though they were highly engaged during his release event?
Well, and I won't use the word that he used.
Okay.
Because your channel, you're going to have to edit it
I didn't have that word in my notes, but we can put a beep if you want to use the exact word.
You want to edit it? He just said Iron Patriot was just bad tuning.
Yeah.
So I didn't use the word that he used. I used the word. If you want to know what word he used, you could watch my video. I just said it in my video. Yeah, I was like, but he said it was just bad tuning.
Yeah. So it wasn't intentional. It wasn't intentional that you could, if you didn't unlock Iron Patriot, that wasn't how it was designed. So the event designers got an earful from him, because that wasn't how it was supposed to be. So that's it. I think it was a lot of promise. I think there's a lot of good things that I heard, and hopefully they implement all these good things that I heard a lot better than
I'm trying to keep my expectations low.
My expectations are always high.
Someone said, yeah, Marvel Strike Force is the only game where you could keep your expectations low and still be disappointed.
My expectations are high and they're not met, but I look at the bright side. So hopefully it turns out good. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for giving me your thoughts on it. Make sure you go over to check out MobileGamer's video on his channel, where we discuss more things about the call. We talk about a few more of these things in depth, but hopefully this video did give you some value. If it did, leave it a like. It is free.
We get to do a real fist bump.
We can do a real fist bump, but hey, before we get to this fist bump, if you want to check out what are the only 10 teams you need in Marvel Strike Force, check out the video up there. But now it is time for the fist bump moment, a real one. Oh yeah, look at it. Did you see that? That was awesome. I loved it.
That was amazing.
It was.
Best fist bump of my life.
Yes. Out.